Today in history. It is July 9th, and we're going to continue with our journey to the past.
We are. We have 3 events to share with our listeners today, and we're going to get to those events in just a moment. But first, here is my quiz question. The Wimbledon Championship is the world's most renowned blank tournament. Is it number 1, tennis, or number 2, spelling? I think our listener in London knows the answer to this. The Wimbledon Championship is the world's most renowned blank tournament. Is it number 1, tennis, or number 2, spelling? If you know the answer right now, please put it on our Bundy board or text in pounder sharp 1045 on your cell phone for 51. You could win an 우산.
네, 저기 영국 런던에 계신 분께서 지금 빨리 이거 주시기 전에 빨리 서둘러서 답 주시기 바랍니다. Okay, so like Steve has just mentioned, we're going to talk about 3 main items today, so here they are.
Today in history. In 1872, the doughnut cutter was patented. In 1877, the Wimbledon Championship began. And in 1956, Tom Hanks was born.
Okay, so today's journey begins in the past with one invention that gave us a delicious and stable treat.
And that was the donut cutter, which was patented on this day in 1872 and granted to John F. Bondell. Makes me wonder, what did a donut look like before 1872? It wasn't a donut, it was just dough.
Not dough.
Yeah. Do you want a coffee and dough?
반죽만 이렇게.
Yeah, right.
네, 자 오늘은 도넛을 이렇게 잘라내고 그 안에 이제 그 홈이 이렇게 파지게 되잖아요. 도넛 커터가 특허를 받은 날로 기록되고 있습니다. So donuts are believed to have been first introduced by Dutch immigrants as they are said to have enjoyed the so-called 이게 뭐예요? Olible?
I guess.
Sweetened cake fried in fat. I don't think that's quite important here, but the really important part here is sweetened cake fried in fat.
Otherwise known as a donut, right? But it was Bondell who came up with a device that allowed for a quick and uniform cutting of the dough by the means of springs, which made it possible for the cutter to continue shaping the dough in ring shapes without having it stick to the blades.
Oh, wow.
So it could just cut down through the dough, and the dough wouldn't stick to it at all, right? So it was a nice clean cut.
오, 아주 깔끔하게, nice clean cut, 깔끔하게 그 가운데 보면 탁 이렇게 잘라낼 수 있는 그런 놀라운 장비가 개발이 된 게 바로 1872년 7월 9일입니다. So thanks to Bondell's invention and further developments in the donut industry, such as Adolf Levitt's automated donut machine, more than 10 billion donuts are produced in a year in the U.S. alone.
Wow. Are you a fan of donuts?
I wouldn't call myself a fan of donuts, but I like eating them.
Do you have any particular favorite type or just whatever?
Regular, the
just
original
plain?
one. Plain one.
I very rarely eat donuts, actually. Yeah, I don't know why.
Buff 되려면 도넛 먹으면 안 돼요.
Continuing on, Wimbledon. Now, tennis, if you're a fan of this, then you're going to know all about this event. A couple of years after the invention of the donut cutter, the inaugural game of a worldwide renowned sports event took place.
자, 세계적으로 알려진 스포츠 이벤트가 개최가 됐는데 바로 그 이벤트는 that was Wimbledon, which kicked off on this day in 1877.
Now, the Wimbledon Championship is not only the oldest tennis tournament, but also the most renowned and premier tennis tournament in the world.
가장 오래되고 가장 명성이 높은 스포츠 행사죠. So Wimbledon introduced many firsts in the world of tennis, including the introduction of, in 1920, of the so-called ball boys and ball girls.
Right. So those are the young people who kind of stand at the back, and whenever the ball goes somewhere, they go and get it.
막 뛰어가서, 네. Whose mission is to retrieve loose balls from the courts during matches.
Right. Now, Wimbledon is also known for its very strict dress code, the most renowned being an all-white uniform for the tennis players. So you can see on Point in Radio there, I believe that would be Roger Federer, maybe Anna Kournikova on the left side. I'm guessing here. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, you have to wear white.
You have to wear white.
when you play Wimbledon. Very strict about that.
Of course, whether players agree with this rule or not, it is all worth the effort in order to win the much coveted gentleman's silver gilt cup and the ladies' silver dish, also known as the rosewater dish.
Are you a fan of watching tennis on television? Wimbledon or the U.S. Open? Or...
Used to be.
Oh, yeah?
네,
When I was a teenager, I used to take tennis lessons, actually. Really, really loved the game, loved the sport. And I used to love watching Jimmy Connors. And
Jimmy Connors.
John McEnroe, Michael Chang,
맞다.
Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi. Those were the big names back then.
Right.
Yeah, those names have been replaced now.
어떻게들 지내시는지 모르겠어요. 무슨 빌리진 킹 뭐. 이런 것들.
Back when they used wooden tennis rackets.
아니 집에 달력이 걸려 있었는데 거기 빌리진 킹이라는 분이 보이더라고요.
Yeah.
좀 대단한 분이셨죠.
That would have been times of Chris Everett, Martina Navratilova, right? Yeah.
나브라틸로바.
Yeah, she was amazing. Yeah, I was a huge tennis fan back in the day.
그랬구나. 네.
Yeah.
And then now let's move on to somebody's birthday today.
Yes, Tom Hanks, one of the better actors in the world. 20th century, of course, is what we're talking now. And Tom Hanks was born on this day, wasn't he?
Uh-huh. Well known for his roles in iconic movies such as Forrest Gump, Philadelphia, Castaway, and Sleepless in Seattle. And how can you possibly forget You've Got Mail? And his films have grossed more than $4.2 billion in the U.S. alone, making him one of the most profitable actors of all time.
Tom Hanks is definitely one of my favorite actors, and he lives up to the reputation. He's given us so many memorable performances, such as Forrest Gump, as you mentioned, among the 100 greatest movie characters of all time, according to Premiere Magazine. So let's take a look at one of the more famous scenes from the film Forrest Gump.
Hello. My name's Forrest Gump. Do you want a chocolate? I could eat about 1.5 million of these. My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
네. 딱 거기까지만 드리기가 좀 아쉽기도 하네. 네. 네, that's one of the most famous scenes from this movie.
Absolutely. I have a favorite scene of mine of Tom Hanks's films. Captain Phillips. Have you seen it?
It's the most recent one, isn't
That's
it?
right. Have you seen the film yet?
아니, 아직 못 봤어요.
Not yet? Okay, I won't ruin it, but I will say that one of the last scenes of the film when he's being checked out by a doctor is probably one of the more powerfully emotional scenes that I've seen him play because you can tell the power or the levity of the situation, the power of everything that just happened to him is suddenly crashing on him emotionally because he had to be so strong during the whole event that all of a sudden everything just comes. And he plays that perfectly. You have to watch that movie, if not just for that scene. Yeah.
Okay, I will.
Really good. Yeah.
저는 그 옛날에 Big 이라는 영화에서 he was like playing like a little child on a what is it? Long
The piano
sort of
keys
keyboard.
on the board or on the floor, right?
On the floor.
Yeah.
네, 정말 아주 순진무구한 정말 12살 소년의 모습 그대로 보여줬던 기억이 납니다.
Yep.
네, 톰 행스 씨가 오늘 또 생일을 맞이하셨다고 하네요. So just like he said, well, in that scene from this movie Forrest Gump, you never know what you're going to get, really. And Hanks had his share of unexpected paths as he worked selling popcorn at the movies and serving as a bellboy at a hotel.
Now he's now a household name in the movie industry, and yeah, his son is actually a pretty big name in the movie industry and TV industry as well, Colin Hanks. But interestingly enough, he's a long-distance relative of Abraham Lincoln.
Yes.
Fun fact.
아주 또 명문가 또 출신이로군요. 네. 자, 알겠습니다. 자, 이렇게 해서 오늘 세 가지 또 history, very historic events 함께 하셨고요. So let's check the answer to the quiz question.
The question was, the Wimbledon Championship is one of the most renowned blank tournaments. Number 1, tennis, or number 2, spelling? And the answer is number 1, tennis.
네. By the way, when we were talking about Wimbledon, one of the historic events that we just discussed, we just received this message from all the way from UK. 자, 영국의 윈블던 근처에 살고 계신 애청자분께서 또 듣고 사연을 주셨습니다. 영국에서는 축구만큼이나 테니스 인기가 대단하네요. 이 펍에 가면은 축구만큼 테니스 중계도 자주 볼 수 있다고 하셨습니다.
Nice.
그렇군요.
Nice.
네, 감사드립니다.
Wow, that's really cool. What a great cultural experience that
네,
must be.
그렇죠.
Right?
아까 영국에
Yeah,
사신다고
right,
보내주신
right,
분이세요.
right, right.
네.
Awesome. Thanks for that message. And feel free to send us a photo sometime if you happen to be at a pub during a football match, or maybe you see the stadium where they
Sure.
play at Wimbledon. Send us
네.
a photo. That'd be very cool for us to
근데 왜
see.
브라질에 사시는 분은 한 번도 이렇게 연락을 안
Yeah,
하시나
right.
지금
Yeah,
네.
yeah.
바쁘셔서 월드컵 때문에. 네.
All right, well, that's it for today in history. And when we come back, we have a special guest in our cooking segment, so don't go anywhere. Here's the wonders that, speaking of Tom Hanks.
That's right.
Yeah, Tom Hanks film. The wonders, that thing you do.